All right, we are live. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. Contractor fitness. Let's rock it. So today we're going to be talking about how my clients work out 3 hours a week without taking time away from their family or business, because I get it. Right now is the busy season for a lot of you guys, and that's a good problem to have, right? It is better to be busy than not be busy at all, right? So if you're booked out weeks in advance, if you're booked out months in advance over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, that's a good problem to have, right? And because of that, you might feel like, you maybe don't have time to get your workouts in. But seeing as all my clients are in the same position, I've got clients who are working 7 days a week, right? They're working Saturday and Sunday and Monday through Friday, you know, even if it is 4 or 5 hours on the weekend, they're still moving the needle forward because they're ambitious and they want to take their business to the new level. And getting their workouts in actually helps have that energy to make that possible. So really, before we get into anything, like if you're watching in live, comment #live. If you're watching on the replay, if you're coming back to this, watching the recording, comment replay and let the algorithm do its thing, boost this up so other people can see it and actually help some more people, right? And if you're new to the group, you don't know who I am. My name is Miles Wold. I own and operate the Winners Mindset Fitness Academy. It is a specific fitness academy for contractors such as yourself who are, potentially struggling with low energy, especially at the end of the day. You've had a long work day, and you feel really drained and like you're not able to give back to your family and have that kind of quality time with them. And maybe you feel like, you're overweight, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, and that extra weight's kind of dragging you down and holding you back from being that ultimate leader you want to be, right? So what we do is we actually give you the exact structure you need, the exact plan you need to lose the weight, have more energy, put on more muscle, and rise up to be that leader, not only in your business, but in your relationships as well, because fitness really is the foundation to making that a reality. Like if we can put this as a pyramid, if you will, the three-layered pyramid, the base foundation is fitness, taking care of yourself, taking care of your health first, even if it is first thing in the morning, so that you can take care of everyone else for the rest of the day, right? And then the two layers on top of that are typically, interchangeable depending on the time of the day, vacations, weeks, and all that kind of stuff. And that is interchangeable between business and family. And above all that is spirituality, right? Taking care of your higher self. And ultimately, men really need a mission for what we're really driving after. So having that higher ideal of being that leader that leads people from the front, that takes action, earns you more respect, gives you a life, a high quality life, a life worth living, instead of, being dragged down by your own weight and being out of breath when going up and down stairs, being out of breath when tying your shoe, being low energy when wanting to spend that quality time with the family, right? Especially if you've got kids, if you've got grandkids. Now, I'm coming from this position where I'm living vicariously through my clients. Like, full transparency, like I've got a girlfriend, I don't have any kids, I'm not married, I don't have any grandkids, but by virtue of being born, I had parents, and I can see that from growing up, having the parents that are around, vibrant, that have the energy to keep up with kids. It makes a big difference in terms of how they show up, and how everyone shows up for the rest of the relationship, for the rest of life, right? So being present, having that energy to make that possible really shows that you are a leader, and leaders take care of themselves first and foremost. So with all that, here's some challenges that I see, guys who are first coming into the academy. They fundamentally believe that health and fitness really improves their life, right? The guys who are in the academy that I work with have that fundamental belief that being in better shape, having more muscle, losing body fat, and ultimately being in the best shape of their lives does improve their life, right? So the biggest challenge is not just the beliefs around that, but like logistically, what's going on with their busy lifestyle, right? So some of the biggest challenges before the guys come into the academy is, they don't believe they can get a workout in, right? Especially if they're working 60 plus hours a week, right? They fundamentally believe that they cannot get it in. And because of that, working 60 hours a week, booked out weeks and months ahead in advance, logistically things can get a little tricky, right? And because of that, they're not sure where to start and they have no structure to begin with, right? Typically, if we have a plan, just as you would on any kind of job site, whatever job you're doing, whether you're in residential or commercial or anything like that, chances are you've got a plan, right? The homeowner knows what's going on. The major company that's hired you knows what's going on. There's a blueprint, there's an estimate, there's a plan, there is a potential timeline how everything is going to get accomplished, right? You know exactly what needs to happen day in, day out to meet those deadlines, meet those timelines, because you got a plan, right? And because like a lot of guys before joining the academy, they don't have a plan, they just don't know what to do on how to make 3 hours a week for their workouts, right? Whether they want to do this at the gym or at home. And what I see is like a lot of guys who want to save time on commute, they just train at home, right? I send over equipment, typically like a doorway pull-up bar, maybe some dip bars, some resistance bands, all that kind of stuff. And if they want to get a weighted vest down the road, that's totally cool with me. But having that convenience, if you will, that room in the house or in the garage or whatever, in the basement, to have those home workouts saves you time on commute and you've got no excuses to do it because it's in your home, right? All you need is a plan to make that possible. And then if you're at the gym, it's just a matter of having the gym and allocating the time for commute, especially if it's within a reasonable distance, 5-10 minutes, all that kind of stuff. Typically people don't drive more than 20 minutes to go to the gym. I was a trainer in person before COVID, before the gyms got closed down and all that kind of stuff. And everyone who trained at that gym was typically local, right? Very rarely was somebody driving 20 minutes, 15 minutes to go to the gym, because there's just more convenient options more locally to you. So if you have that option, definitely go to the gym, right? You will advance your progress that way. However, if you are, driving, the gym is the other way from the job site or the office or whatever, it's probably best to, train at home and have some kind of plan around with all that, right? You're going to save time on commute, and actually, make progress that way instead of just not doing it in general. And then another challenge that I see contractors kind of facing is they've got physical pain, right? So some knee pain, some lower back pain, maybe some shoulder injuries over the years, maybe from abuse from sports in the past, if you grew up playing football, hockey, baseball, whatever, you're young, you're ambitious, you're on top of the world, you're going to push your body to the limit. And then as you get older, those pain and injuries can kind of build up in that sense. And then besides the sports is just typically working in the field, right? Like if you are, if you've started off working in the field, installing your own decks, installing your own roofs, doing pressure washing, and then you're at a position 5, 10, 15, 20 years later where you're more in the office, if you didn't take care of those pain and injuries when you're younger, chances are you might still feel that lingering pain during day-to-day life after all these years, right? So here's the solution, right? So here's what my clients do week over week so they can get 3 hours. All they need is 3 hours a week to actually see progress, right? They are training hard enough with a serious plan, with enough serious and intensity to actually move the needle forward. So number one, they've had a shift in mindset, right? They come into the program and they fundamentally believe that they can get a workout in and see how important it is for those workouts to manage their stress, to burn fat, to build muscle, and become the ultimate leader in their business and their family. And this doesn't have to take away time from the business. It doesn't have to take away time from the family, because it only improves the quality of life, allocating 3 hours a week for those workouts, right? Each workout's typically, 30 to 45 minutes. I try and manage that within the time that they have available, because I'm conscious of their lifestyle. I'm conscious of their busy lifestyle and how it reflects on everything else, right? So basically, typically they break it down into maybe, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, having at least one day for recovery in between workout sessions. And if they want to do additional stuff, if they want to do more workouts, if they want to do some cardio days, that's totally cool with me. But typically those main workouts are 3 days a week. So another thing, like adding another layer, we've built out the plan. Plan is ready to go. Now it's time to map out the schedule for the week, like on a daily planner or some kind of calendar system, right? If it can't be, like, if you're trying to map out your week ahead of time and you're just too vague, like you're not really sure how that's going to work, you just do it the night before, right? Before you go to bed, spend 5 to 10 minutes, kind of plan out your day for the next day for, what are we, Wednesday today? So a good place to start is doing this tonight and mapping out what you will want to achieve for Thursday, what your schedule would look like, and then just taking action on it, right? Writing down your 3 main goals you want to accomplish, and then just take massive action on it the next day. So planning your schedule out in advance, whether it's a day ahead or a week ahead or a month ahead, however ambitious you are, gives you clarity and more predictability on what's going to happen in the future, right? We're never going to know what's going to happen the next day, right? I could be hit by a bus. I never know what's going to happen the next day. But if we write it down, we have some kind of daily planner or calendar system like Calendly or Jobber, that helps move the needle forward and gives you clarity and takes away any kind of anxiety of what needs to be accomplished in the business, right? Where things are happening, what's happening at what time. It just gives you that sense of clarity and vision and how it lines up with your business and your schedule and your life. So for example, like I've got my own daily planner, right? I wouldn't suggest something for you guys if I didn't do it myself. So I got this first class daily planner 2023. I think I went to the dollar store, spent $3 on it, right? So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to buy $100 daily planner, just something that helps you bring clarity to what needs to happen, right? And it breaks it down from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And there's some additional room to kind of expand that time if you want to start at 6 and go to 8, 9 o'clock or whatever, right? So that's time, right? We've got the plan, we've got the time. Now it's a matter of scheduling it out and when we're actually going to do those workouts, right? So typically for a lot of guys, this is getting it done first thing in the morning. And I'm biased for this as well. I have no issue sharing my bias where I like to get my workouts done first thing in the morning because it sets the tone for the rest of the day. I've done the hardest thing for myself to get it done, get it over with. So it's not looming in the back of my mind like 3, 4 o'clock, shit, I got to get a workout in because I didn't do it at 7 o'clock this morning, right? So for a lot of my clients, some of them wake up at 4 o'clock, some of them at 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever they need to do to get it done. And that's what happens, right? Because they notice within weeks that their performance goes up and they realize they can get more done with less sleep, right? While still feeling rested rather, because their sleep quality goes up with workouts and eating better. Like when you exhaust your body, when you do something physically hard, you are going to feel tired, right? Especially if you eat well and drink lots of water. So if you exhaust your body, you really push it to the limit, work out with intensity, beat your old goals week over week, and then that's going to help move the needle forward and you're going to sleep a lot better. You can actually get away with sleeping less hours and performing just as you did, if not better, compared to when you weren't working out and sleeping more hours. So ultimately, you got to exhaust your body and get out of your head. It's going to help you actually lower your stress too. Because for 30, 45 minutes, whatever it is, it's just you versus you. You're just focusing on the workout itself. And you might actually come up with a solution to whatever problem you're facing in business, right? Whether it's more sales, more marketing, how to solve this one job, right? So we've got the plan, we've got the time down, we've got it scheduled out when we're going to do those workouts during the day, typically first thing in the morning. If you want to do it at the end of the workday, that's totally cool. But typically what I found is, if we're going to say we're going to do it at the end of the workday, we've got to keep that promise to ourselves, right? A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to do it at the end of the workday, and then just never get it done. So keep that promise to yourself and take massive action, right? So it's a lot easier to do that first thing in the morning before the responsibilities of the world start weighing on your shoulders. And then typically we break it down to 3 different kind of splits depending on where they're at in the program. We might start off with like a full body or upper lower split, and then maybe transition into a push-pull legs, right? If you're a total beginner, this is not something worth overthinking, because if you are completely new, anything will work for you. You will see progress on any one of those splits on a 3-day split, 30 to 45 minutes, whether you follow full body, upper, lower, or push-pull legs. If you are completely new, or maybe you trained 10, 15, 20 years ago, you will see progress on those, because it's going to be such a new stimulus for your body, right? You're throwing your body into a new environment, so it's going to adapt to that in time. But given that you add more repetitions, more weight, challenge yourself, workout over workout, you're going to see results all the same, right? And all of these are created to fit a 30, 45-minute workout so we can get it done at the gym or at home, right? Really depending on where they want to work out, but also so they can get in and get out, right? There's no need to be spending 6 days a week, 2 hours a workout session, 12 hours a week. There's no need to be doing those kind of workouts unless you really love the gym and you really, maybe you're going for Mr. Olympia, you're really looking to be like a bodybuilding champion, right? So it really is dependent on the personality. So we start off typically, 3-4 days a week, and then we build up from there if they really enjoy working out and they want to take it to that next level. But typically the perfect balance between progress and recovery are those 3-4 days a week, right? If you are extremely busy, extremely stressed, working out 6 days a week probably won't help you out, right? You need time to rest and recover. You need time to relax. You need time to, sleep, eat more food, and focus on the business, right? So we really aim to meet the clients where they're at and where they want to be. But typically 3 to 4 workout sessions a week, 30 to 45 minutes, 3 hours a week is really all they need to get the ball rolling. And then in terms of breaking it down to the workouts themselves, we focus on those compound exercises like squats, bench, or deadlift, maximize the gains with that, along with isolation exercises like lateral raises, tricep extensions, bicep curls, leg extensions, leg curls, lunges. Lunges would be a compound. But you can really isolate it if you want to do like a split squat or something like that. Calf raises, all that kind of stuff, to really maximize the gains in the least amount of time without feeling mentally burnt out, right? So to really focus on building muscle, maybe 2-3 hard sets in the 6 to 20 rep range. If this is like a workout you want to build out on your own, that's totally cool. Typically 6 to 20 rep range. So you're really focusing on building muscle instead of exhausting your brain, right? So typically 5 reps and lower. So as you get closer to your 1 rep max, say, you're all out max for a deadlift, all out max for a squat, all out max for a bench press, you're going to burn your brain out, right? Your central nervous system, and your brain is part of that, along with your spinal cord and all your nerve endings that go in your body. And if you're mentally cooked, if you're always maxing out, you're mentally going to cook yourself, and you won't be able to show up in the business, right? You won't have that mental energy you need to focus on your business and take it to where you want it to be. And that transitions into how you show up at home, right? If you're mentally cooked all the time because you're always testing your 1 rep max and you're doing training 6 days a week, 2 hours a session, it's like, we got to take a step back, like pump the brakes a little bit, right? Pump the brakes so that we can recover, so that we can recharge, so that we can actually focus on building the muscle instead of cooking our brain. So 2 to 3 sets, 6 to 20 rep range is a really good spot to be training with intensity, really going to failure. It's going to focus on that muscle. It's going to focus on cooking your muscles instead of cooking your brain. And if you cook your muscles, you'll be able to recover from that, right? So that's where having those days off in between workouts, eating properly, drinking water, getting adequate sleep, all that kind of stuff is important. And then, like, let's say you're not sure where to get started with your workouts, right? It's busy season. You know, you feel like you're missing something and you really want to take it to that next level. Well, it's really time to stop struggling and actually get a plan in place, set in stone, that's created for you and your unique and busy lifestyle. So if you want to know more about how we might be able to help you out with that, comment workouts and I will reach out with more details, because it is possible to get your workouts in. And it is better to start that sooner when your life is busy, so that you have a plan in place and you can adapt to that. And then you just continue the momentum going when things slow down a little bit in the winter. And then you have the skills when things get busy again next season. You have the skills in place to actually continue with that momentum instead of stopping and going every year. I see so many guys that, go hard in the paint January to March, or maybe just January to Valentine's Day, 6 weeks, right? They go hard in the paint, they get busy, and then they stop for the rest of the year. The reality is, if you want to make consistent progress, you have to show up consistently, right? Showing up to your business 6 weeks out of the year isn't going to save you, isn't going to help you, isn't going to get you to where you want to be. Same thing with working out, right? If you want to take it to that next step, if you want to take it to that next step, if you want to be that leader that everyone recognizes, that earns everyone's respect, from your employees to your clients and everyone in between, comment workouts and I will reach out to see if we're even able to help you out, right? Because workouts, handling your stress, eating right is the foundation to becoming that leader. And you know that leader that I'm talking about. You know what that looks like for you. You know there's someone that comes to your mind that you look up to that is a leader within your industry. And chances are he takes care of his health. So if you have any questions, comments about all this, let me know. Happy to help.